going to shield this up? No, they do not. So Giratina comes back in, and this is what I'm saying. They never expect Wild Charge plus Play Rough, right? What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Ox here with another video. If you're new to the channel, we do upload Pokemon Go content mostly related to PvP, and if you're a returning subscriber like Oscar Nuno, thank you for the support. In today's video, we're taking a look at a team that may confuse a few of your opponents. Taking a look at this team, it's basically triple Dialga, or is it? As you can see, we have Melmetal in the lead with Zacian and Groudon in the back. Now Zacian is one of the best answers for Dialga within this meta, but we're actually not running close combat. Let me explain. I do think that close combat is probably the most useful move, but in its particular role on this team as the safe switch, I'm deciding to roll with Play Rough and Wild Charge. I'm expecting to catch a few people off guard as a result of that. My thinking behind this is that we already have enough coverage for Dialga with Melmetal plus Groudon, and when you're using Zacian as a safe switch, almost no one is ever going to bring a Dialga into your Zacian. They're oftentimes going to bring in a Pokemon that is more likely to be weak to Wild Charge or Play Rough as opposed to close combat. So if I'm utilizing Zacian in that way, it might pay off to actually run that moveset as opposed to close combat. Now, of course, that logic may backfire entirely because we do have Melmetal in the lead, so maybe they are looking to get their Dialga away from the Melmetal and onto the Zacian. But what I found in these battles is that it actually works for the most part, and it was a very fun team to run. So in this video, we'll be taking a look at two sets, the first two of which are going to feature Melmetal in the lead, Groudon and Zacian in the back, and then for the final set of this video, we will be taking a look at the same movesets, but with Zacian in the lead instead, Melmetal and Groudon in the back. If you guys enjoy this type of content, please consider leaving a like on the video. It really helps the channel grow. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Now, without any further ado, let's jump into the first battle right now. Alright, so there are going to be a few Pokemon to look out for when running a team like this. Giratina very difficult, Mewtwo also challenging, Kyogre could be an issue, and even Groudon could be a little bit problematic, so you have to be careful with those Pokemon. Melmetal into Lugia, one of the best leads you could see with this team right here. The opponent is staying in. We're going to overfarm a little past the Rock Slide. They swap out into Metagross. I'm going to throw the Superpower here. I was actually hoping that throwing the Superpower would allow me to come in with Groudon and actually knock out the Metagross with a Fire Punch, but it actually turns out that that is not enough. So the Metagross is going to get off a Meteor Mash. In hindsight, it's actually a little bit better because we don't want to give that Lugia too much farm here, so we are going to farm down. Lugia comes back in. We're going to have to look to spam a couple of Fire Punches here, get off two. Now Lugia getting an energy lead here isn't the worst thing in the world because again, Melmetal is pretty much a wall to Lugia, so pretty nice spot to be in right here. Gonna throw the Fire Punch. Lugia is going to farm down, and even if this is an Aero Blast, you want to let it go through because once again, Melmetal has a very dominant matchup here. Now they do get the attack buff right here, so that wasn't optimal, but still a dominant matchup. Gonna throw the Rock Slide. They are shielding. Now, are they shielding because they got the attack boost, or are they just this weak to Melmetal in the back? I'm shielding in case they are very weak to Melmetal in the back. Could be something like Dialga even in the back, trying to keep it away from this Melmetal. Gonna throw another Rock Slide right here. This is going to knock out the Lugia, and actually it doesn't knock it out, so I swap out into the Zacian. Very surprising that did not KO. Lugia is super tanky though, so Sky Attack comes through. It's a Togekiss in the back. And this is where having Wild Charge is actually going to pay off because Wild Charge almost takes out the Togekiss. The second one definitely will. The Lugia will come back in and Snarl is going to be enough to take it out. We win with that Melmetal still in the back plus the extra shield. 1-0 start to this video. Let's hop into the next battle. We are officially in the veteran rank, and this is one of the worst leads to see. So we went from one of the best to one of the worst. Gonna swap out into Zacian. Once again, we have the Play Rough plus Wild Charge right here. Going to call the Shadow Ball. They do bait us with the Omnis Wind. Now, if the opponent goes twice Shadow Ball and you shield both of them, I believe you could actually win this in the two shields with Zacian just going straight Play Rough. But you need to call Shadow Ball both times. Now the opponent does swap out into their own Zacian, so I'm going to throw the Play Rough here. Thankfully they did swap out very late, so I'm just going to throw the Wild Charge here in order to allow my switch timer to come back up, and then I'm going to bring in the Groudon. And now Groudon here could tank any move. If they throw something like a close combat, they will lower the defense. Hopefully we can get to the Fire Punch, and this will be enough to take out the Zacian if they do not decide to shield, which they do not. Giratina comes back in. I'm trying to make it to this Earthquake. We will win CMP. So if they threw here, best case scenario, Earthquake does not KO, CMP tie. You love to see it. They're going to go for the Shadow Ball as well. Huge break for us. Going to be able to come in here with the Zacian. They bring in a Melmetal. So I'm just going to look to build up some energy, swap out into the Melmetal. Hopefully, well, it's going to be a Rock Slide, so that's pretty nice right there. And because we could reset the debuff, the opponent probably backed out thinking that we did have close combat perhaps, because that game didn't really seem like it was over yet, but we do end up taking that game. Melmetal against Mewtwo, another very challenging lead right here. Now Melmetal could win this in the 2 shields, especially if they are not running Focus Blast. So we're going to go for the Rock Slide right here. Probably will stay in this matchup. And we have to make a call. This could be the Focus Blast, but oftentimes they're not running it. No respect for the Focus Blast with the no shield right there. We catch a big break. Rock Slide comes through. The opponent this time not building up to the Focus Blast, I believe, so probably going to be a Shadow Ball right here, which it is. And I'm going to throw the Rock Slide here. Now this will either get the knockout or the shield. The shield actually makes sense because they're going to be able to farm down, and now they actually are going to get a shield from us anyways, while getting switch advantage. So not the greatest position to be in right here. We are going to farm down. They bring in a Zekrom, which is an interesting counter to Zacian right here. So I'm starting to think it's probably Dialga in the back. Gonna throw the Play Rough, swap out into my Groudon right here. And I probably will look to overfarm a little bit. I think that's what we should do. Let's see if it's what we actually do. Yeah, we do overfarm in case they look to swap out. Unfortunately, I let them throw another move, which is not good. Crunch comes through. I'm pretty confident that it is a Dialga in the back at this point, so I'm really mad that I let that Crunch go through. Fortunately for us though, we are going to reach the second Earthquake, and Groudon is going to sweep this back line right here with the Earthquake KO. Dialga gets taken out. 3-0 start to this video. Things are looking really good for this team. Next matchup, we are looking to get sniped right here from this trainer. So Zacian into Melmetal. Looks like they are in fact sniping us with that hard counter lead. We're going to swap out into the Zacian right here and throw the Play Rough. Usually I like to go for the extra snarl, but it looked like the opponent was probably trying to do that anyways. So we get the extra one in there on the next move. Very, very nice. Wild Charge comes through. We are going to get another snarl to go through. Gonna let this one go. And I kind of make a mistake here going for the Play Rough because I didn't really want to show what my second move was. So I am going for the higher energy cost move, but that means we're actually going to allow them to outpace us to the next move, whereas I could have easily got to that Wild Charge first. So it's no big issue really. We will come in with the Groudon or the Melmetal. They swap out into Yveltal, which I'm totally fine with. Gonna throw the Rock Slide right here. We do have to be a little bit careful about a potential Focus Blast, and I did not actually remember what the count was because I hadn't played Master League for so long, so I thought maybe they were at Focus Blast here. Ends up being a Dark Pulse. That really hurts. Gonna throw the Rock Slide here. Takes out the Yveltal. Let's find out what they have left in the back. They come back in with the Zacian. I'm gonna look to catch this close combat onto the Groudon right here, which we do. And it's a Reshiram in the back, so you gotta respect the spice. I believe that's a Hundo Reshiram, and it's a Shundo. So Earthquake comes through. Have to make a call there. If I did bait with the Fire Punch, we would have made it to the Earthquake, but again, it's a guessing game whether they shield or not. They do call it correctly. And now we're gonna get overheated, so you know what's coming through. Self bang right there. Overheat coming through, taking us out. You gotta respect the Reshiram spice, especially on this channel. We love Reshiram, so shout out to that trainer. That's actually one of the best teams to build around Reshiram with Yveltal and Zacian. So I would love to run that team if I had an Yveltal. Unfortunately, I do not. But here we go, Zacian into a Ho-Oh, and this is where having that Wild Charge really can pay dividends. They let that go through. We're at the second one. Are they going to shield this up? No, they do not. So Giratina comes back in, and this is what I'm saying. They never expect Wild Charge plus Play Rough, right? But here it comes, Play Rough, bang, there it is. Giratina not expecting that move set, catching the opponent off guard there, and they are extremely low at this point. We come in with the Groudon. We're going to shield up the Shadow Ball right here, and I'm gonna let this one go through. Probably try and commit to the farm down right here. They swap out into Mewtwo, and this is a little bit problematic, but still winnable here. especially if they do not have Focus Blast. So Fire Punch comes through, going to throw the second right here. I imagine they'll let this one go through, which they do. Gonna swap out into the Mewtwo, and I was not expecting Focus Blast here at all. Bang! There it is. Focus Blast taking us out. We're getting banged all over the place in this video by the opponents, and we basically just lost this match because although we did sneak in the extra Fire Punch, and that does mean we will outpace them to the next Fire Punch, it's not going to be enough to KO, which means the Mewtwo is going to take us out. We end up losing this game. Very well played from the opponent. You got to call the baits sometimes, and we definitely did not there. End up going 3-2 after a 3-0 start with this team, but I did see a lot of potential. We're going to keep it rolling in set number 2. So hopping into the next set of battles right here, still running with the Melmetal lead. Melmetal into Giratina Origin, again, one of the more difficult leads to see with this team. Gonna look to swap immediately into the Zacian, and the opponent is staying in, so it could be a Shadow Ball right here. Let's see if I decide to shield it up. Yes, we are. Shadow Ball comes through. It's very nice to see. Gonna throw the Play Rough right here. Now, if we do call another Shadow Ball, we could actually win this in the 2 shields. But at the time, I was not actually aware of that. So what you're going to see here is that we do shield up the Shadow Ball. I'm going to throw the Play Rough. And then I believe we actually swap out before we get to the next Play Rough. We would outpace here, but I wasn't 100% sure. You can see right there, we would have landed the Play Rough. And we could have KO'd the Giratina, but I decided to swap out instead. Shadow Ball comes through, so we do take some damage there. I'm going to go for the Earthquake here. So a bit of a turn of events right there. I mean, we do have energy stored on the Zacian, which is nice, and they bring in their own Zacian now. I do make it to the Earthquake, which is very nice right here, because that's going to put the Zacian very low. But unfortunately for us, oh, okay. Actually, the opponent lets us get to the Fire Punch, so I don't know what the heck's going on here. Fire Punch comes through, Excadrill in the back, and we are able to land the Fire Punch. So the opponent getting extremely greedy there, probably lost on the count and the CMP tie right here. This is probably one of the more frustrating games of the season for this opponent, and we're going to end it off in style with the Play Rough BM on the Excadrill. I mean, it looks like BM, but technically we don't have any move to throw to Play Rough or Wild Charge, so not BM, just a lack of a better option. Next battle right here, we got Melmetal into a Lugia. A very solid lead. Opponent swaps on to Metagross, and I come in with the Groudon. Now, unfortunately, we do get outpaced to the Meteor Mash because of that late swap, so I do decide to shield here. I mean, we don't really have to shield. We do win this in the zeros, but what I was afraid about is potentially not shielding there, and then the opponent decides to shield twice. And yes, they take Switch in exchange for the shields, but they keep the Lugia away from the Melmetal. I did not want that, so I decided to just shield it up, give up the shield advantage in order to keep this dominant alignment. Now here, I probably should have swapped out, to be honest. Probably came in with the Zacian. I don't really think it makes sense to stay in with the Groudon and dump all this energy, especially if we need it for something in the back, like a double steel team, for example. So don't really like the idea of staying in there, but we do keep the alignments. It is a Zacian in the back, and kind of wish I didn't stay in that matchup now with the Groudon. So kind of a misplay there on our part. Of course, misplays happen. I make misplays every single day in GBL. It's just a part of the game, right? Zacian here going to throw the close combat. I am going to shield this up because I want to keep this alive for the Lugia. I swap out into my own Zacian here. The opponent is going to throw the Play Rough, and I'm going to build up to the Wild Charge. So likely with the shield. I don't really like throwing the Wild Charge here because now we lower our defense to the point where a Sky Attack basically KOs, so I kind of need the Zacian alive to take out their own Zacian too, so it's a weird spot here. Because yes, I can farm to 2 Rock Slides here, and technically throw 1 Rock Slide at Lugia, the next Rock Slide at the Zacian. The problem is they exited with energy, and Rock Slide, even if we did win CMP, which we don't, isn't going to be enough to knock out Zacian from this range regardless. So we do end up losing this game right there. Very well played by the opponents to come back from a very difficult lead right there. Lugia into Melmetal, so a very nice win for the opponent. Let's hop into the next one. We got Melmetal lead right here into a Dialga, so I believe this is the first Dialga lead of the video. Opponent swaps out into Mewtwo. Not the greatest safe switch to see, but I'm going to build up to the Rock Slide right here. This is where the Focus Blast would pretty much come in, but we do actually get off a second Rock Slide, which is very nice. And here, gonna make a call. You never really want to shield, right? Because if it's not Focus Blast, you feel pretty bad, but you also feel pretty bad when that happens right there. So gonna have to burn the shield here on the Side Strike instead. I don't really expect the Dialga to come back in here. So they do bring in Melmetal, and right now you're kind of saying, well, this is where close combat would be really useful, right? Obviously it would. The opponent does shield that up, and at this point it's pretty obvious we do not have close combat. So they're gonna let that go through. I swap out into Groudon, and this is where having that triple anti-Dialga team is going to come in handy, because we need that answer for Dialga still. Superpower comes through again, saving my shield for the Dialga. Gonna build up to the Earthquake, and I think at this point it's just safe to go for the 2 Fire Punches. Put this in the range where a Play Rough would actually KO, right? So you get the shield or the 2 Fire Punches through. I think it's a lot safer than throwing the Play Rough, or throwing the Earthquake rather. Going to shield up this Iron Head. We need to outpace here to the Play Rough. It is in Play Rough range, so as long as we get here, we will be able to take this out. And then even without close combat, we should be able to take out this Melmetal. So the opponent decides to back out of that matchup. Would have been a little bit close at the end, but I do think we would have won that regardless. Let's hop into the next one. So going to be leading Melmetal this time into another Dialga. Okay, so 2 Dialgas in a row. You love to see that. Excadrill comes in, so I'm going to throw the Superpower here, hoping to get the shield and then bring in the hard counter. Absolute dominant position to be in right here. Shield advantage with Groudon. I'm going to shield once on the Drill Run, but this Fire Punch is going to put the Excadrill very, very low. The opponent actually decides to double shield, which I think is a mistake, because there's pretty much no way that Excadrill is going to win this at this point. Gonna go for the Fire Punch right here, and that's going to basically knock out the Excadrill. They actually swap out into Kyogre. I would not make it to the Earthquake, and I couldn't swap out, so just gonna throw this Fire Punch, swap out now into the Zacian, and remember, we do have Wild Charge here, so this should be enough to take out the Kyogre from this range. I'm going to overfarm a little bit right here. Wild Charge coming through on the Kyogre. That's going to take it out. Opponent comes in with the Dialga. I don't have close combat, but Play Rough still deals some nice neutral damage right here. You can see it does about 50%. We get farmed down. Come back in with the Melmetal, looking to throw this Superpower before they get off any damage right here. That takes it out. Swap out into the Groudon to reset the debuff, but they literally have 1 HP. Let's hop into the next battle. And this one right here, Hang PJs. This was one heck of a battle right here. Probably the battle of the video, in my opinion. A very difficult lead, so we swap out into the Zacian. The opponent is staying in. We're going to call the Shadow Ball right here and shield it up. It is, in fact, the Shadow Ball going to build up to the Play Rough. A very nice catch right there onto the Excadrill. I mean, it still hurts, but we are switch locked here. I go for the Wild Charge, which I don't agree with. Yeah, I don't like going for the Wild Charge there, because we could have definitely survived a move. We are going to get off 2 now because they realize they could overfarm now since it is a Wild Charge, but I think it's a mistake. But I did throw the second Wild Charge there in order to let my switch timer come back up. Go into the Groudon right here, and I'm gonna let the Drill Run go through again. Look to farm down here and hopefully get to an Earthquake. They swap out as well, so a lot of aggressive swapping in this battle. We get to the Earthquake right here. That's not enough to KO, but we do get the CMP tie. Ominous win, perfect scenario, but they get the boost. So that is going to change all of the plans I had for this game, because now I can't really farm down and I'm forced to shield an Omnis Win. We would have been able to farm down here. I'm forced to swap out instead to catch this Omnis Win onto the Melmetal. They have what left in the back? Let's find out. It's their own Melmetal right here. So gonna throw this Superpower. This is basically going to put us in the range where we get knocked out by the opponent's Superpower. That boost really flipped this game. Would have been a very, I mean, I don't know if we would have won, but it would have been a lot closer right here. You could see don't have close combat is going to end up costing us in this battle. Play Rough gets the shield. We do get to the Wild Charge, but not having close combat. This is not going to be enough to KO. The opponent is going to survive, gets this move, take that game. That was one heck of a battle right there. GG's to the opponent. We end up going 3-2 once again in this set. And I decided why not test Zacian in the lead for the next one. So that is what we were going to do for set number 3. So jumping into the third set of battles right here, and this time we're going to be leading Zacian in the lead with the same moveset, and we see Ho-Oh in the lead, which is pretty interesting right here. And let's see how we play this out. I'm gonna build up to 2 wild charges and actually go for the play rough. So I have some pretty weird intentions in mind right here. I'm going to shield this up, but what I'm looking to do here is make the opponent think that I don't have wild charge by throwing the play rough first. Big brain plays, bang, there it is. Wild charge takes out the Ho-Oh, and now we've exposed both moves, but we got one of the biggest threats to this team. Swap out into the Groudon right here. Even on shields, Groudon could survive anything from the Zacian. Is a play rough gonna get to this Earthquake? This will deal heavy damage if they decide not to shield, which they do decide to shield. And now we get to the Fire Punch anyways. Very, very nice. Opponent likely going to farm here. And they're gonna throw a Moose. Let's see what they decide to do. I'm actually gonna shield up, which is a little bit interesting. They swap out into Zekrom, so one of the best shields of all time. Earthquake coming through, basically sacrificing the Zekrom right there. And we do get to this Fire Punch as well. This game should be over right here. Gonna swap out into the Zacian. Nothing should KO from this range, and we will be able to snarl down, take that game with a full health Melmetal in the back. So a very impressive win to start off this set right there. Let's hop into the second battle. We got Zacian into a Lugia. So pretty nice lead. Opponent swaps out into their own Zacian, and we're gonna look to throw a play rough right here. I might decide to swap out to Groudon at some point. I think that would make sense, but it would also make sense to want to stay in this matchup and just maintain alignment as well. So we'll see what we do. I'm gonna throw another play rough right here. This will likely see the shield come up. Yes, it does. And I'm going to overfarm, get to this wild charge. I'm gonna shield this up right here, and we lose CMP. So that's a big blow for us. You can see going for those play roughs do end up costing us, but it is what it is. Gonna get to 2 wild charges anyways. This is going to knock out the opponent's Zacian. They keep the shield, but now they realize we have wild charge for that Lugia. So they come in with the Metagross instead. Winning switch was quite important right here. Wild charge comes through. Gonna bring in that Groudon. And basically this game is over right here because this will knock out the Metagross if they do not shield, which they do. They swap out Lugia into Melmetal. This game is over. Nothing the opponent could do right here. They would have to like swap out and catch a move at some point with a move store on Lugia to have any chance of winning this. And that just seems like a very tall task. So Aeroblast going to come through. I want to build up to 2 moves right here, so I have a Rock Slide plus a Superpower to throw at the Metagross, but apparently I did not get the memo. And actually, okay, so I decided to throw there because I didn't want them to swap out. Okay, so that's what my thinking was there. I was afraid they would swap out, keep that thing alive. Obviously, this game is over regardless, so just gonna throw the Fire Punch right here. Definitely went the safe route in that game, and we take that battle right there. 2-0 in set number 3 with the Zacian lead. Looking pretty good thus far. Let's hop into the next battle. Going to lead Zacian this time into a Garchomp. One of the best leads you could see. They swap out into Lugia, and because I have Melmetal, I can actually afford to overfarm so much energy right here and still win this secondary matchup. So pretty much hard counter city right here. Aeroblast does come through. Gonna build up to the Rock Slides. I don't mind the Metagross getting very low here because of course we don't want to give that Garchomp too much farm, although that energy will pretty much go to waste anyways on the Zacian. Going to let this go through right here. It's only a Sky Attack. Commit to the farm down. We have energy ready to go on the Garchomp right here. This is one situation where staying in does make sense. We don't need to preserve this for later in the game because Zacian is a hard wall to the Garchomp. So they take us out right there. Gonna come in with the Zacian. Gonna throw the player off. Opponent is staying in. Did not try to catch that move. This will knock out the Garchomp, and they have a Metagross in the back. So I could just swap out into the Groudon right here and told him the game is over. May as well back out. But I decided to dump the energy instead. I'm going for the guaranteed win here. You never know when that GBL lag is gonna strike. Here comes the Groudon after getting both shields. Now the opponent realizes and they back out of that match. They don't want the smoke. We take that game. Let's hop into the next battle. 3-0, so this team is or this variation of the team is looking pretty good. Another Ho-Oh lead right here. And last time we saw one for the Play Rough baits and then the Wild Charge. But right here, they're throwing before Earthquake. So Brave Bird is going to be doing more damage, but it's going to lower their defense. So it forces them to swap out here. And now they should be dry on energy. So I throw the Play Rough, swap out into the Groudon here. Groudon has basically zero play against Ho-Oh. So want to get it in the matchup right now. And we can survive anything here from the Zacian. So Play Rough comes through. Gonna get to another Fire Punch right here, which will be enough to take out the Zacian. But if that Ho-Oh comes back in, is going to be able to farm us down, which isn't what we want, especially being down shields already. So things are not looking pretty good right here. Earthquake comes through. Now we should have a move stored on the Zacian, so that could come in handy here. But let's see how this plays out. The Ho-Oh at a move, we're not even at a move yet, so gonna be forced. I'm gonna let this go through actually. Yeah, there's no point to shield, it won't KO. Puts us very low. Dialga in the back, you love to see it. That's basically what we needed to flip this matchup right here, because Melmetal is going to go to work. Superpower, first one goes unshielded, which means they have to shield this one. So I'm gonna bait with the Rock Slide. They have to shield. A very safe play right there. And now if it's a Draco Meteor, you know, we have to respect it. I'm going to shield it up, and now the game is basically over. I just cannot allow them to swap out. I'm gonna build to 2 Rock Slides right here. Iron Head comes through, gonna throw the Rock Slide, or am I? A little bit of Go Battle Lag right here, trying to affect the game very late into it. Rock Slide comes through, doesn't KO. They bring in the Ho-Oh. I'm gonna throw this Rock Slide right here, which is going to get the final shield. Wild Charge ready to go, gonna take out the Ho-Oh right here. They're gonna farm us down with the Dialga, but we will be able to take this game with the Thunder Shock farm down. Very tight game right there. Pretty impressive win being down shields in that situation as well, so I was very happy with that victory. Hopping into the next battle, currently 4-0. Can we pull off the 5-0? We got a very nice lead to do that. So opponent swaps out into Mewtwo. This is a bit of a challenging spot right here. Side Strike does hurt, but I'm going to allow it to go through. Going to throw the Wild Charge here and then come in with the Melmetal. And right here, basically our win con is not letting them Focus Blast us, I guess. So let's see how this plays out. Rock Slide coming through. They do allow that to go through, and this seemed too early to be a Focus Blast. And it's a Shadow Ball, so very nice. Gonna get to the Rock Slide, throwing right before they get to the Side Strike. So that's going to take out the Mewtwo. They will come in here with the Zekrom. Things are looking pretty damn good for us right here. I'm gonna throw the Rock Slide. Probably should consider swapping out into the Zacian at some point. Like right here, I think would make sense to swap out in case we do need the Melmetal, because we have no idea what they have in the back, right? Mewtwo safe switch literally could be anything, but I do allow them to farm us down, which isn't optimal. I figured with these 2 Pokemon, I was pretty solid against anything really left in the back. Like even if it's Giratina Origin, pretty safe right here, but that is one Pokemon that is not very safe. And this is a situation we're going for Earthquake. They're gonna no shield because we can't farm down with Mudshot or Snarl. So it's a very safe position for the opponent to be in right here, saving their shield here for the potential Wild Charges. I realize the rain's on the wall. I don't want the smoke, so I'm back out of that match. We do pull off a 4-1 in that set. Very happy with the team's performance. So those were the battles in the Master League Classic, featuring this triple anti-Dialga team with the very interesting moveset on Zacian of Play Rough plus Wild Charge. Now normally I would not recommend this moveset for Zacian, but as a safe switch with this particular team comp, it actually makes a lot of sense because no one is ever expecting you to run this moveset, and as a result they're going to keep their Dialga away from the Zacian even though you do not have close combat, because it's hard to predict the moveset. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, commenting, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.